Hello, everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I'll be discussing The Wages of Fear from 1953. Alright, some essential movie details about this film. Henry Georges Clouzot originally planned on shooting the film in Spain, but Yves Montand refused to work in Spain as long as fascist dictator Francisco Franco was in power. Alright, so those are the behind the scenes details about this film. Let me get into my thoughts on the plot. So, the plot, I gave it a 1 out of 5. You know, I wanted to like this movie, I really did. You hear about it all the time, especially in film history, and several of my friends really like this movie. It just wasn't for me. Nothing happens in the first 40 minutes or so. We're just shown random people. There's no real setup or anything like that. There's no hero to latch onto, and that's something I've been critical of a lot of European films from this era. But this is another case of that. The movie doesn't really start, though, until they decide to get to the other facility that helps develop the weapons. So I think this movie leaves a little too much for interpretation. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I kind of like things being kind of black and white, if you will. I thought it was just... I thought it was a difficult movie to watch in the sense of I didn't really know what was going on half the time. And then the ending is just so abrupt and so strange and so jarring that at the end I was like, I'm sorry, I do not like this movie at all. All the goodwill I had was just gone for me. And which is a shame. I really wanted to like this movie, but I just did not like it. It was just not good for me. So those are my thoughts on the plot. Now, in regards to acting, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I thought it was pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. There's a tough old guy, but all of a sudden he starts being a wimp. And then all of a sudden his friend he's working with starts beating him up for no reason. And then that guy beats his girlfriend. I don't know. I mean, I guess if the intention was to have us not like them, then maybe they did a great job. I just wish there was a character we can root for or someone we could really relate to. I just want a clear hero and a clear villain. I don't like these movies where there isn't one. And there's American films like this too. It has nothing against it being a foreign film, but yeah, I just was not a fan of the acting. I thought it was a little over the top sometimes too, especially from the old guy who's kind of tough or whatever. He just becomes so weird and wimpy by the end. I was like, this is a strange movie. I don't know. I was not a fan of it. All right, now talking about directing, I give that a 2 out of 5. I thought the choice of having the plot be kind of all over the place, not really start for 40 minutes, I wasn't a fan of that. I wish we had a little bit more with the characters, a little more. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, just a little bit more of a backstory with them, just a reason to connect with them, a reason to follow them along their journey. There just wasn't that. And there really wasn't a problem per se either. You know, these are just random people. They decide, okay, let's go get some oil, and then they die. You know, it's like, it feels a little, it just feels like there isn't a plot. And so I don't know why that choice was made. I don't know if this was based on a book or not. Maybe so. I don't know. But I just want to have a character to latch onto, someone you want to succeed or someone you connect with. It doesn't have to be a hero or a villain per se. It's just I want people to connect with. And to me, I think the director should have made a better decision in that department. So those are my thoughts on directing. All right, for cinematography and special effects, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Look, I'll give credit where credit is due. It's amazing. It's stunning, especially the scenes when they're trying to show us the tension from, you know, is the truck going to blow up? Because they have explosives, right? There's a little ticking time bomb and just the bumpy roads and all that. I actually really liked. I thought that was probably the best part, was the cinematography, the look of the movie, and just all of that was really cool. And then also the scenes where, you know, you're kind of on the edge of your seat when the truck is backing up and super close to the cliff, and it's just very tense, right? That's the stuff I really liked about it. But I would have loved if these were characters we were rooting for and we were wanting to succeed and to not die. But that was not the case. And so, although the cinematography is amazing, really cool, it doesn't save the movie for me, if that makes sense. All right, so now talking about the music, I'll give you that a 2 out of 5. There isn't really any music. I kind of wish there was some to kind of add to the suspense. I think that would have elevated the scenes even more. Maybe that's just the American in me, because a lot of American suspense movies are like that. But I don't know. I wish there was more of that. I wish there was more music. There isn't really any. And so, I don't know. It's just a strange movie. I don't know what else to say other than that. So with that, tallying up my Letterboxd score, that's a 2.4 out of 5, which is a 48% on Critic List. I do not recommend this movie. I think it is a waste of time. Nothing really happens in the first 40 minutes. It's a very long movie. I think it's 2.5 hours long. It's fairly long for a movie where I think a lot of things could have been cut. I thought the plot was pretty non-existent. Again, we're just thrown into these people's lives, no one we really connect to, and then they die. It's like, well, what was the point of that, you know? It's a message of the dangers of capitalism, I guess. I don't know. I think there's a way of doing that with having us relate to the characters. Because, like, if it was a character that we loved, it's like, oh, man. And he's like sacrificing himself and his character, his goodness for the sake of money. That makes it more tragic and make us sad for the character. I didn't feel anything with this movie because already they start off with them not being good, just kind of despicable people. I don't know. There's a way of doing this movie that I don't think was succeeded here, at least in my opinion. So no, I do not recommend this movie. Even the cinematography, which is great, I feel like there's no emotional attachment to it. And so with that, those are my thoughts on The Wages of Fear from 1953. Thank you so much for watching and listening to today's episode. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Really Old Movies, where I discuss details about the week's particular film. New podcast episodes are released Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, and video versions on YouTube and Rumble Mondays at 7 p.m. All right. Thank you so much. This has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Take care.